Hello and welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I'm back for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, and we are here with the finale, the grand finale of Season 3, Episode 12. And with this one, it looks like we are going to get quite presumably what will effectively be the Zang Clan Part 2. The Yuta Okotsu massacre, if you would. I mean, I say that, but I don't actually think it'll be a complete massacre. Though the fact that he did kill one of the people, one of the incredibly powerful sorcerers in the Sendai colony, of which all of them were in a stalemate, and did so seemingly effortlessly, implies that maybe massacre is the right word after all, but we'll just have to see. Presumably that'll be this episode, a mostly standalone, just great gory time with Yuta to send off the season. But I'm sure with the show being the show, it'll give us not only incredible fights, but also some incredible food for thought. And I'm curious to see where it'll leave us off for the wait into season 4, which I believe is coming next year, hopefully. Hopefully. Now, before I get into what will be the final comment of the day for JJK for quite some time, I wanted to go over the last episode a little bit more and really go over this fight scene. And I'm not going to be doing it frame by frame, unfortunately, even though it certainly warrants it. But what I wanted to talk about is just how brilliant of a fight this is and how well executed and how well choreographed it is. Choreographed not in the terms of like the fist thrown and the placement of each character, but how they're thinking and how the fight develops. This fight represents one of the most difficult yet most gratifying, or because of that, most gratifying fights that you can really pull off in an action show. And that is most simply the logical extreme of a back and forth. What do I mean by that? Well, naturally, I shouldn't say with any good fight, there are very good beatdowns that are certainly that don't have a lot of back and forth. But with any good fight with tension, with stakes, and with characters that you're not sure who's going to come out on top, you want to have a back and forth, right? You want to have this side winning, and then this side comes up with something, and then this side starts winning, and it's always going, the pendulum is swinging, right? You don't know who's going to come out on top because each side either keeps adapting to what the other side is doing, or they pull out like another trump card, right? They pull out, I predicted your prediction, and I lay out the trap card that undoes your trap card, and all of that. And the fundamental formula of that is pretty simple, right? And it's effective because, yeah, it's a fight. It is just a logical extension of the fights that we have in real life, where if you're like in a street fight, you throw fists, right? You exchange blows. Naturally, in a world with like Jujutsu Kaisen that has magical powers, you need to really dial this up, and the author needs to get a lot more creative with it. So how does Gege do that? Well, interestingly, he does this fight mostly, if not entirely, from the perspective of, I guess, Tengen voicing over here a little bit, but really from Reggie, right? And throughout this fight, this isn't actually a battle of foresight or planning, right? This isn't, oh, I predicted your prediction, like I said before. This isn't, I did heavy research on you and I know what you're going to do and I've planned for that ahead of time. This is on the ground thinking. This is the intelligence of adaptation that is so simple yet so rarely seen, especially when you have like brilliant characters, like genius characters, right? If you have a mastermind in most fiction, they're a mastermind because of their planning, because of their foresight, which is not to be understated, to be fair. There is certainly an intellect in planning. But what makes someone truly smart and truly capable is their ability to think on the spot, right? Their ability to adapt to what's coming at them and to adapt to the other side's adaptations. And that is what this fight really centers around. This fight is basically from the perspective of Register, and it's not, while he does literally have a trump card, he doesn't actually predict any of this stuff. He figures out what's happening while he's getting beat down, thinks about the different threats around him, and thinks about what he has in his toolbox that can counter it, right? Like, this wasn't his plan from the beginning, right? He thought about what was at threat, the elephant, about how he couldn't really cancel out the effects of this domain because the surefire hit that he was ready to cancel isn't active here. So instead, he figures out the biggest weakness here, which is the fact that it weighs Megumi down. So he has heavy things, he can use that. It's like the anti-Deus Ex Machina. It is specifically using things that clearly weren't meant to be used this way in a way that benefits the character, right? Again, it sounds like really simple stuff, but it's stuff that unfortunately doesn't get utilized as often or as well as it really should. And as a writer, I can say that I'm not saying that these are like bad writers for being unable to do this. It's not an easy thing to do, especially since you design these fights, right? As a writer, you create these fights, you create these scenarios, you create the environments and the characters to put in the environment. So it's hard not to make it obvious, right? Because that is the hand waving magic trick of a writer. It is to convince you that this was not planned, right? That you did not write this, that this is an event that you are retelling. Towards that end, there's no better tools than misfits, right? Using the cars to weigh down the shadow. Megumi hearing that Register was thinking about the ground as his shadow and using that to find a blind spot of his, that he can drop something from above. It's these adaptations, these responses to each other, this back and forth, because a fight is just bloody dialogue, right? And as Register is getting crushed by this, he is thinking about his situation and thinking about, oh, maybe I should use my trump card. Oh, maybe I should just wait it out. But he logics out that his best choice is to take a genuine gamble to try to pull out his trump card, even though he might get crushed under it, which he effectively does. And that's great, because it really is a back and forth, right? This isn't some act. This isn't some performance. This isn't, oh, I just made you think I was defeated so that I could pull out my trick. I actually tried to pull something out. I took a gambit and I lost. And thankfully, he didn't get crushed, because obviously he can just stop reinforcing his feet and then sink down into here and then figure out his next step. But it's really cool how this plays out and how we get to see his mind work and how he adapts to each new bit of information he's exposed to, right? And then we get something like this, where the car comes out with Reggie's immobile body, and you're wondering, oh, was that him being expelled, or was that Reggie's own strategy? And then he gets up and you realize, oh, it was Reggie. Oh, so this was his plan after all. No, it wasn't. It was foresight. It was actually laying out pieces onto the field without knowing what's necessarily going to happen. He didn't say, I didn't give these cars a command so that they could rescue me if I get stuck down here. He said it because he doesn't want them disappearing. And yeah, the implication is if he gets down there, they can go and save him. But he could have just as easily used them as torpedoes, right? Before this became a battle of crushing Megumi, or of crushing each other. He could have used them as freaking torpedoes if he wanted to. He could have done so many different things with them. He's keeping his options open because of this. And it's just a great demonstration of these characters actually thinking on their feet rather than just planning. And just the emotional highs, the emotional lows, as each character gets seemingly decisive victories, and the actual weight of this of this trump card, that they put so much emphasis on this. All these things are falling down in the house. It's about to crush him. And rather than Megumi having this, gotcha, we actually black out. And then we're disoriented like Reggie, as something just happened. And like the way Megumi materializes behind him as he's piecing things together, again, placing the audience in the perspective of this fight, right? It's just so well done on like every aspect. And sure enough, with the rest of the fight, we are figuring out what just happened in that climactic moment as Reggie is. And then, of course, with this final part of the fight, we have Reggie thinking he'll use everything but his dog because he thought the dog was defeated. And that was Reggie's point. That was Fushiguro's trap, right? The thing that he laid out. It wasn't, I was ready, I was waiting for us to get into the pool so we can hand fight and then my dog can come up from behind. It might have been, we don't know for sure, but presumably it was, we're going to keep fighting, I'm going to try to get him to the pool to wet his receipts, and the dog and my demon dog will be waiting in the shadows for the right opportunity. So again, it is placing these pieces out and making it feel as natural as possible when they move around. And admittedly, part of this is, again, just not getting the play-by-play of every character reacting and responding. It's even more effective because we only see it through Reggie. Maybe if we did get it through Megumi and we did see, I planned this all out, blah, 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 blah. that might have taken away from it. But we don't get to see that. So we get to imagine in our heads just how much of this was planned and how much of this was reactionary, right? And it is that thinking, that getting the audience to wonder about all these little aspects, that is engagement, right? The audience thinking is engagement for your show, for your manga. And this fight just does it incredibly well. So I just wanted to share a little more appreciation of this in the prep of why this is perhaps one of my favorite fights in the show so far, honestly. It's just that good. And it's with that I want to get into the comment of the day, the last one for JJK, at least until season 4. And this one, just like the last one, is actually by Ketch. And not only that, it's actually a continuation of the last prep. And our discussion, my disagreement with him about the 2 pillars of Jujutsu's power system, right? The 2 being we both agree with ego, and the other pillar being the split off. Ketch believing that it was about having a world where one has an end goal and how to find that end goal is, and mine being the subtle but distinct difference of having a desire to impress yourself upon the world, hence the domains. And here, naturally, Ketch disagrees, and I like the points he brings up here, I really do. He notes that I was actually a little bit mistaken, and I was misremembering, because Megumi does not actually take his morals from Tsumiki. He actually kind of takes the opposite. Tsumiki is like the embodiment of good to him, but her judgments, her impartial execution of judgment is something that Megumi kind of frowns upon, right? It's something that he thinks is weakness. He thinks that she is basically perfectly good, but she has a tendency to forgive those who maybe shouldn't be, at least according to Megumi. Whereas Megumi is more than willing to be unequal, more than willing to dish out justice to those who deserve it, if you would, rather than just forgiving everyone, right? So he does have his own distinct flavor of justice and his own worldview and his own ego, right? We are both in agreement about his ego. And I will grant this point of Ketch's. He's right. He called out that I incorrectly called out that Megumi took his worldview from Tsumiki, the person around him, right? At the same time, I'm not really convinced that the other pillar is, as Ketch claims, the end goal. Partially because he doesn't actually support that in this analysis at all. It's really just about pointing out the differences between Tsumiki and Megumi, which is fair. It's a fair criticism to point out of my stance. However, rather than adopting Ketch's, I'm going to adjust mine, because I still do believe in the nature of domains that the other big pillar besides ego is a desire to impress yourself upon the world. And I think, ironically, despite me standing by my claim and disagreeing with Ketch, disagreeing with his disagreement of my disagreement, well, not actually. I agree with his disagreement, again, the part there. But even though we have 2 different beliefs on what that last pillar is, we both kind of take the same message from this episode and from this arc. And that's the fact that Megumi is uncertain. Megumi is walking away from this, lacking conviction in his own morality, his own judgment. Because he backs out, right? He doesn't kill Remy, even though she's clearly wronged him, and she is wrong in the sense that she is all talk and no action. She cares about words, not actually living through her beliefs, her proclaimed beliefs. So in that sense, that makes her wrong. But he's not able to pass judgment on her because he knows, for whatever reason you want to take, there are several, that Tsumiki would not approve of this. So ultimately, his ego is still the same. It's still intact. He still believes that he will carry out justice unequally. He will carry out what he believes he should, right? What he believes is right. But his own morality, his own desire to impress himself upon the world, is shaken. He's not able to go through with it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But when it comes to Megumi and his domain and lacking the definite shape of his domain, right? It doesn't really have a boundary because he's interacting with the outside world and he is not certain. He is not certain in his world, his personal world that he is impressing upon the world. So yeah, we're mostly in agreement with what we're talking about. I think it's really just the minutia of the end goal versus the desire to impress yourself upon the world, which is a minor thing, to be fair. And I think most of the details, most of the actual content and about his journey, about his thematic relevance, I think we're on agreement with. As for the other part I wanted to talk about, there's some great comments here, like about Reggie and the idea that sorcerers are con artists. I love all that. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, or the second to last thing I wanted to talk about, is a sentiment that I actually haven't seen very much, probably because I don't interact with the JJK community very much, pretty much just in the IPPC, my own community. And that's about the fact that Yuji and Megumi were simultaneously put up against opponents that were like their perfect counters, and at the same time, that only they really could have dispatched, at least in the way they did, and got the outcome they did. Or I suppose I shouldn't say dispatch them in the way they did, I should say the outcome wouldn't have been as they'd wanted it, right? Megumi only got the points from Reggie, besides the 5 points of killing a sorcerer, because he fought Reggie as he did, and because Reggie recognized him as a con artist who outconned him, as Ketch says here. Yuji only saves Higuruma and gets Higuruma to fully withdraw and give him I think he only actually gives him 1 point. No, wait, that's right. Of course, he gives him the 100 points to change the rule. But he is only able to really convince Higuruma because of his own internal demons, right? Because of what Yuji is struggling with. So while it's true that they are perfect counterparts, they are perfect counters to Yuji and Megumi, Higuruma judging Yuji, who already judges himself, and Megumi fighting somebody who basically out Pokemon trainers him, it works out. It's almost like the higher the mountain they have to climb, the greater the reward, or something like that. I don't know. JJK is not very thematically relevant, so I'm probably overthinking it. But yeah, I really like this, and I really appreciate this way of giving our characters a higher hurdle to fight that is kind of uniquely theirs, and then rewarding them for it. Like, there's another comment here, I forget who exactly it was by, but I think it might have been Max Godard, actually. Max notes how, in this top paragraph right here, Megumi has been willing to kill. He's openly admitted he's not like Yuji and that he'll try to keep people alive, and yet, now that he's actually going through with it and carrying out these executions, if you would, he's unable to in certain circumstances, like with Remy, which I will continue to say I think is a good thing. And it seems the world agrees, because he's validated by a literal and figurative angel, as Max Godard puts it, appears before him, like a immediate reward for his restraint, for him not falling deeper into the abyss that his character arc has kind of been about. So it's really cool. I really like this. I really like how Gege puts our characters in these unrealistically difficult situations and then rewards them for getting out of it. And now that I say that out loud, that's the most obvious thing anyone's ever said, because that's just a story, right? That's just basic storytelling, but it's worth acknowledging because it's done so well here, right? It's not the fact that it is done, it is how it is done. It is that it is done so thoroughly and so proudly, really, because yeah, this is all kind of one arc, right? Gege is clearly setting these out intentionally and laying them out as he does, and it really pays dividends because these last several episodes have just been phenomenal. Now, for the final point, this isn't really, it's not really a point, but it's more of an apology for Ketch, because his birthday was June 8th and it's June 12th, so I missed this. It figures that the one time a big member of the IPPC knows that they have a birthday and that I should hurry up with my upload so I can give them a good present. Of course, the one time you do that is like the one time I have a difficult week and I don't look through the comments for several days. So I didn't see this until now. So I apologize for that, but happy birthday. I hope that this journey has been great for you. I hope your journey has been even greater for you. And I'm so glad that you were part of the IPPC, and I hope you're enjoying your time here. I apologize for all the hair that you've lost in the 4 days since then, but I'm getting this out now, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. But with that, it's time to get into the episode. The final episode of JJK Season 3. One last thing, though, before I get started. This is going to be altered visually and auditorily for copyright. If you want to get the unaltered version, that's going to be on Patreon. For $2 a month, you get access to all of my different shows unaltered. This one's going to be wrapping up, but Vinland Saga will be taking its place, and as Free Ring gets closer to wrapping up, then you can also take part in the polls and you get bonus votes if you are a patron, depending on your tier. If you don't want to support me at all financially, first of all, screw you, but no, I'm kidding, of course. If you just want to join for free, you do get access to my Discord. It is just there to filter out the public people, just keep it a little bit private, just so we can filter out and make sure that people who are building out this community are really, really want to and are really there for it. So check out the link there. It is completely free for my Discord, and that's on Patreon, as well as the unaltered versions. A little less free for that one. But I'm going to stop my yapping because it is finally time to get to the finale of Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 3. And we are starting off with lots of Yuta. Is that his voice? I have not heard him talk like this. Oh my god, what is with that voice? It's communication and passage in and out, yeah. So I need lots of points to get the other ones done. Ooh. So we're getting his motivations. Ooh. That is a lot. Oh, and we're not getting an opening, are we? Getting the title just like we did with episode 1. Very cool. This OST is disgusting. I guess this is the finale. Holy heck. Well, the stalemate was just broken, so I wouldn't place my bets on it. I love how soft his voice is when he's talking to them. Oh, what? Oh, that's clean. He's getting the person who is... Oh, this is the cockroach guy. Okay, yeah, I'm in for a treat this episode, aren't I? This is gonna be insane. Okay, Yuta, let's see what you got. And Rika too. Kurourushi. It's awakened now. Sendai Colony. What a simple name. Are you the first to fall, or is this going to turn into just an absolute brawl? Jeez. Whew. Dang, he's good with it. I mean, we knew this already, but... I love how there's no OST playing. There we go. That was such a good silencing, nothing but the sound effects. As in the curses? That's a good point. Why are you killing us? Why are you killing us, man? Don't want to expose his cards, yeah. Whoa! The shifting! Oh, the CG, my goodness. Whoa. This thing is crazy! I mean, it is a special grade. Freaking tornadoes of cockroaches, are you kidding me? God, that reverse curse technique is so powerful. Ooh. To blind him. Oh, jeez. Oh no. Oh no. No, no, no. We've still got like 2 more to fight. Okay, I suddenly want this to become a brawl. But like... I'll put the curse energy into him, yeah. Or the reverse curse. And yeah, they were waiting. Because why would they intervene, right? That looked incredible. I should put my arm down. Jeez. Oh my, it's gonna be like this the entire episode. Sky is a surface. What in the world? Hurry up and attack. Someone who won't complain about getting killed. And his voice too. My goodness. Okay, she's from the past. Second chance. Hmm.
死滅回遊は2度目の人生の第一段階に過ぎない。なんせ手引きしてるのは賢弱なんだからね。あらゆる事態を想定して点は取っておくべきよ。
As long as we survive at the end, right? Not anymore. Well, unless they came with. He's pulling out the friendship card. I mean, he's obviously getting ready for something, but... Is he? Well, she's emotional. Hopefully you were... Oh, we got someone who was waiting for this. I figured he was a literal canon. Here's the guy with the greatest cursed energy, right? Cursed energy output, I think it said last episode. Yeah, the collateral, yeah. It's several to die. Sure. Oh my god, that looked cool. Just... Oh my goodness. They're going crazy with the CG this episode. It's just these two, right? Whew. Okay, let's see what your hand-to-hand combat's like. Yeah, he's kind of giving away his position. What a devil? Yeah. Would they agree? Exactly. But now you see a feast before you. Okay. Feeling that there's still more, even though you were satisfied. Feel like there's gotta be something more. So you're trying to find a dessert? Okay, he's fast.
何が不満かって分かってんじゃねえか
Damn. God, that laser is insane. Rubble on his head. Ooh. Nice. God. Back to Jujutsu Kaisen. It's been a while. God, Yuta's getting destroyed here. I mean, the fact that he's basically 1v3ing, even if one at a time is insane, but he's taking a lot of damage. She's busy. No, you going about. Oh, that was fun. Because of the laser, of course, yeah. Wow. Sweet. Oh, please don't do that. That makes me uncomfortable. Very nice. God, and now he expands it, yeah. Classic. Oh. And he has to... Oh. Now he has to refold his hair so he can fire again. What a sick technique. Are you what I've been looking for? My God, his expression. And there she is. The surface of the sky. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like they're working together. Oh yeah, she can affect the light by affecting the air. Dang.
いいわ。あんたはいたぶるって決めたから。
自分の技を食らったのは初めてだ。反転術式は厄介だが、呪力の消費が半端じゃない。
Mm-hmm. It's also slightly less of a threat when you're not a cursed spirit.
どんなにうまい高級店でも閉店間際でスッカスカじゃがっかりするもんさ。
Gotta appreciate while it's still there.
みんながいるスタジアムからもう少し距離を取りたかったけど仕方ない。
Now he's gonna call her.
おいで、リカ。全部だ。
You know, that's a really good point. The fact that he's been fighting all three of these without Rika. Kind of insane. Well, I guess these two. Yeah, so he's been fighting with an insane handicap pretty much this whole time. He can connect with the rest. Yeah, at the cost of... Is that like a suit of armor, or is it just a gauntlet? Alright, I guess the real fight starts now. But like, you were kind of struggling with him before he... The cursed speech. Oh, the art style change. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Oh, give me an extra force. Nice. Yeah, 1v1v1. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can affect the air like in between the different particles too, so you can move things pretty much however you want, as long as you have a good enough control of it. Also, this choreography is insane. Blasting past him and she manipulates it. Also, I guess it's not a 1v1v1, it's a 2v1v1. Yeah, how dare you make me punch my hubby? Ooh. Yeah, good luck defeating her with blunt force trauma. There's nothing you can hit her into that doesn't have air in front of it. He's a fucking laser Beyblade! Because why not? What an insane fight. No wonder they saved this for the climax. Or the finale, I should say. Pulling her down. That is such a sick ability. Jeez. Oh, she's doing the, yeah. Which I assume is basically just like a pressure blast. Personal squad assassins. Give me a name to execute me. Jeez, that is horrible. Mori Mori. Ooh. Someone who was raised to be an assassin saying something like that is kinda heartbreaking, not gonna lie. Still there? Wait. No. No way. So this OST is going insane. The tension, those strings just... He's still trying to talk to her. He's so sweet. That's what I've been doing my whole life, yeah. Oh. I hate that line. Oh my god, is he belly drumming? Or I guess chest drum. What in the world? He doesn't give a fuck about any of that. It's time for another 120% moment. Yep, there we go. They're all... It's gonna be a battle of domains. Wait, Yuta has the domain expansion? How did you... what?
煩雑な領域の三者間総裁そして予定外の侵入者
Oh my god, the like three-way eclipse.
後悔する
Well, this is awkward.
ぜクロール氏が
Ow. That was dirty.
領域展開直後で術式が
Oh, yeah, the delay. Oh! Jeez.
私の腕を藤原
もういいだろウロ。お前らはこのテーブルに呼ばれてね。グラニテブラスト。
Well, he can use his technique.
は呪力の放出。極めて単純なこの攻撃は術式が
Is it because he can store it up before he uses his tech?
パフォーマンスを
Yeah, he can store it up before he uses domain. That is a sick trump card. I'm so glad this standoff is happening without
楽
music.
につこうぜ。
Fucking silhouette? Come on. Fucking.
理科の完全権限中のみ乙骨
Just
は
like in the
高出
movie?
力での呪力放出が可能となる。しかし、
a literal
最大出力は
Western
石氷に
standoff.
やや劣る。石氷が最大出力へと達する前に呪力を貯めて放つはずだった。400と4年の渇望、渇きに比例した熱い眼差しが
Yuta's too kind, huh?
戦いそのものに意味を見出すこ
We've
とは
got
な
to
い
go through full
乙骨
fight.
ユタの心を
Yuta.
一回だけですよ
Oh, you are too kind of a soul. No way we're actually getting the opening playing during the episode. Fuck you. What? I knew I recognized that song. I've listened to this song so many times. Oh my god. He had Rika fire it? But you've got to be running out of energy too. Unless his stall from the domain already recovered. The copy. He has the air now. Yeah, he just has the techniques. What the fuck? Generational talent. Oh my god, the other. Oh, when it bit him, it made contact. Oh! Oh! 5 minutes with Rika, yeah. This is so raw. Oh, it's dissolving away. And they're both laid bare. The dessert that keeps on giving. Oh, my heart! What is happening? This... As they're eating him up. Oh my god. This is way too loud, but there's no way I'm turning this down. He diverted one towards the sky. Or he made contact. It was, yeah. Yeah. Insane pot shot. He definitely earned that win. And the table is empty.
満腹だ。
Gives him a smile and a send-off. Can Yuta just stop being like the greatest character here for, I want to say 5 seconds, but he's been gone most of the season, so I guess we deserve this, right?
甘すぎだ、乙骨。これは褒めてねえぞ。本気でやり合った実施を生かして。
得することなんだ
Pretty stupid.
ウロさんも言ってましたよ。
生きてたのか、あいつ。
No way he actually...
ま、領域展開後のブラストならそんなもんか。なんか、あいつうだうだ言ってたな。血は喧嘩か。
そんなとこです。
Generational lovers spat.
僕からあの人に言えることは何もないですよ。
Yeah.
何を言っても暴力になります。
Too much baggage.
恵まれてるから。
そんなもんか。よくわかんねえけど。
So you're just gonna ask them for their points now?
ポイントください。
Yeah, 'cause the fight's over. That's all he was really after, right?
なるほどね。お前来れなかったら俺たち殺してたろ。
どうですかね。
I mean, it is a much faster way to gain points than just getting the 5 from them.
感謝してください。
Mm-hmm. Wow, both of them survived. That is crazy.
限界が来るのはお前の方だ。
Oh, are we actually gonna see what they talked about?
私は見た。
Whoa, Sukuna.
術師や呪霊。
There's that guy.
強者としての地平すら超越するのは
Miwa!
圧倒的な自己。
There we go. There's the word of the day.
災い。
Wasawai. Finally saying it outright, huh? What a way to finish the season. Thing after? No. Alright. That was Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, The Culling Games Part 1. I'm a little overstimulated, but we're gonna try to push through it. Thankfully, this is no Sukuna versus Maharaga, so I'm not in complete shambles. Only partial shambles. I love how we start this episode with a bit of a frightening dissonance of 2 different points. One, that Yuta is basically exactly the same as he's always been, right? He's a kind-hearted person who cares about human life, who cares about people, isn't afraid to kill, but is more focused on avoiding killing, whether that's killing innocent people or killing people who he doesn't really need to kill. Deciding that he deciding that not these people aren't threats to him, so he should take them out. They attack people indiscriminately, which means they can't get out. This does beg the question why he spared them at the end, though, doesn't it? And maybe we'll see when I get there. I might have just missed it, but it is really interesting that he chooses to not spare them, even though they really haven't changed. I guess perhaps what did change was his perspective of them. His realization that they're not monsters who will just kill everything in front of them. And I guess realistically, I don't know, I was gonna say, because, I mean, they can't really stop, they don't really have a reason to stop fighting, right? I mean, it's not like he took away their techniques, or their ability to gain points. I suppose if they can't transfer points between them, then they'll be cut out, but like, what's gonna stop them from fighting each other again? And maybe I'm just missing the explanation for that, but I guess what he's just more concerned about is, or what he's really thinking about here, is that he knows them a little bit better. He realizes that they're not monster. They're not monsters who just kill indiscriminately for no reason. Which, I mean, it doesn't really... I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. Because it doesn't really change the fact that, yeah, they can just go back to fighting each other, and they're both still in the same... Oh, Angel's carrying... I missed that. Angel's carrying Megumi away. That's good. I guess now, once he adds the rule where people can leave colonies and transfer between them, they don't have to fight each other anymore, right? So they're not like limited to this space to fight amongst each other for dominance. They can leave and do their own things, but I mean, they're calamities. Anywhere they go to regain points, they'll be a threat to innocent people. Though I guess they're not doing it indiscriminately, so maybe that's why. Maybe he had to take him out because he's a much more indiscriminate killer, while these other two are more focused on actually, like, achieving their aims, right? And fighting the strong people for certain reasons. So yeah, I guess these two maybe don't qualify as people who didn't indiscriminately attack others. And they kind of don't. It's mainly just about collateral damage, right? Which is the threat. And I really love how his voice changes depending on the scenario. The dissonance I was mentioning at the start here was how, like, cold his voice is as he's describing this, to the point where I almost didn't recognize him. And then here he speaks so gently to the people here who are... tries to rescue this one, and that guy's just... Oh, it's horrifying. And pretty much this whole episode is just incredible action. I really love the moments of how well this episode weaponizes silence, right? Or not complete silence, but lack of music. Especially during, like, the standoffs, right? Like, when they're having this fight in the field, they fought without any music at all, and then it kicks in as they prepare for the next encounter. And nice little shout out to Mahito, what he was talking about with Yuji last season. Why do you interfere? Why do you kill us cursed spirits? Well, why do you cursed spirits kill us? Because I like the taste of iron. And, like, it's exactly what Mahito was saying, right? Stop trying to reason with us. Stop trying to fit us into your moral framework. This is war. We're just killing each other. And that's just how it is. Nothing more and nothing less. The fight's incredible. I'm not going to break it down. The pre-prep, I talked about how incredible these fights are, and this one's no different. Everything I said goes here. Oh, and these abilities are... God, and not only the abilities, but the way that they're... Oh my god, the extending limbs, the way that these things are, like, are shown to us is so cool. It's so cool. And then she wants the fight to keep going. She wants him to attack, presumably so she can counter, because that's always the advantage you want to be in a fight, right? Not always, but generally. But he decides to choose the dialogue option, which pisses her off a little bit. But it certainly doesn't piss us off, because we're here for the dialogue, right? Surely you're not here for the fights. You're not watching JJK for the fights, right? You're watching it for the exchange of thematic underpinnings. You're someone who won't complain about getting killed. It's an assassin. I can understand how people with a strong person like you can claim points whenever they want. So why are you fighting the strong people? Because you could fight all the weaker people, but you're fighting these people who are basically your equals. Or rather, you're not really desperate for points. You can kind of do whatever you want. And yet you're going out and seeking fights, putting yourself in danger, which is why he led with the, I assume you won't complain about getting killed because you're throwing yourself into dangerous situations. But what she responds with, what she gets triggered by, is the idea that only these powerless people are desperate, right? Because she is desperate, and no matter how strong you are, this is your second chance at life through Kenjaku's game. So you've got to play along so you can get whatever it is you want. A second life. So no matter what happens, whatever Kenjaku's doing, keep in mind Kenjaku's setting this up, so he's clearly going to, he's up to some shenanigans. Our job is to be ready for whatever those are, so that our second life isn't cut short. And then he brings up friends, because of course he does. Do you not have friends or lovers? Which is already fighting words, a raised eyebrow. But also, like, maybe I did once upon a forever, but I mean, with her, probably not, unfortunately. But I didn't have friends until recently, but I can't empathize with that. Even if you had regrets, you're killing people hundreds, thousands of years removed from then. How can you be so desperate for your own sake? So Yuta is obviously speaking from a very selfless perspective, right? An unselfish perspective. He doesn't really have things he wants to accomplish for his own sake, which is really interesting because that seems to come in contrast with JJK's power system. But as I've explained and talked about in one of my live stream discussions, check that out if you're interested. Yuta on his own just kind of stands in contrast to JJK. He really is just an outsider who does not belong here. He's inserted himself in, and he's just refusing to be anything other than one of the strongest people here, despite everything. So it makes sense that this unselfish person would see this powerful reincarnated sorcerer and think, yeah, you're clearly doing this for your own sake. You're killing all these people, especially with the collateral damage, if nothing else. Also, you can survive in the second life. That seems pretty selfish to me, and that makes sense. All these people that are dying aren't really related to whatever regrets he might have had. So if you have a sad backstory, a tragic backstory where people wronged you, they're not these people. So how can you do this? And she correctly calls out that he's one of the Fujiwara, which is interesting, presumably because he knows about her and about her, like, assassin lineage and her bloodline, which is probably, I assume that's why she figures out that he's one of them, which apparently he is. What would anyone from your bloodline understand? Those who are blessed to have us under your boot, effectively. And then it get blasted, and we get to meet the last person. We get to see this beautiful light show and this quite solid use of CG, honestly. And then we get to do fisticuffs with Cannon Man, who's very, very hungry. Would you tell a person before a feast to take his time? Yeah, I would. Everyone would. That's what you should do. Good point. Bad example. But he describes something that's also really interesting. I had a decent life. I fuck guys with good backbone. I had a nice woman. Nice. It would be hard to say I had any regrets. This vague hunger is the most annoying kind. So I had a decent life. I wasn't suppressed, and I wasn't not allowed to be myself. Quite in contrast to a woman whose name I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names, especially if it's the episode and I haven't had time to, like, do research and, like, look back over them. But especially, like, compared to her, right? Like, he's had a pretty good life. And yet he feels discontent. He feels like he's missing something. And it's not like a love, right? He's, like, explored his full life, but there's something nagging at him. This vague hunger. Like, I feel like I've had a full, satisfying meal, and yet I'm just not satisfied. What do you have to be unsatisfied about? You're blessed. Not unlike Yuta, right? I'm unsatisfied because I'm unfilled. And we get some incredible fighting. He gets a freaking some rubble on his head. And these two just have an absolute blast. Are you my dessert? What a sentence. And she's back. Oh my god, just absolutely incredible visuals. And she blasts him with his own attack. So then Yuta decides to call on Rika because they're at least a little bit away from the stadium, and more importantly, it's time to take off the shackles. And it's at this moment that we realized they fucked up. Because now Yuta gets to fight at his full strength, and it is quite a fight because everyone else stops holding back too. Oh my god, and it's just absolutely incredible. He uses his freaking laser as a as a hand-to-hand combat, and it's like a ring that they can like fight inside as like a boundary. She freaking slams the sky onto him. It's just such a good fight. But then, okay, here we go. Here's the part that like grabbed me most about this episode. So as the assassin re-enters the fight, we get into these flashes. The Sun, Moon, and Star Squad was Fujiwara clan's personal squad of assassins. Live in darkness, serve with selfless devotion, forbidden from having our own names. Yet that man once granted me a name, so he could execute me instead for his crime of slaying his own kin. I don't know if the implication of this is a Fujiwara necessarily. Probably is. I would assume it is, because the Fujiwara kind of are over these assassins, right? So it makes sense if basically they use the assassin as a fall guy. Granting me a name just so you could accuse me and throw me under the bus is kind of horrifying. It's always you, Fujiwara. You always get in my way. Are you that afraid of me becoming my own person? It's kind of brutal, right? The age-old fight of selfishness versus selflessness that this seems to be playing out, and in Yuta's head was playing out, of this person who's so powerful and just wants a second shot at life no matter who has to suffer, versus this person who has lived their whole life in servitude, who has done nothing but suffer for others, sacrifice herself, now trying to prioritize herself, admittedly at the cost of a lot of people, which is selfish. So Yuta's both wrong and right? She is both wrong and right. There's nothing wrong with becoming your own person, with breaking out of a life, a generation, a lineage of servitude, and trying to make a name for yourself, trying to have a new shot at life, because she didn't really have that in her first life. She lived as a servant without a name, was finally given a name just to be killed. Who in that position wouldn't take another shot at life, no matter what it takes? So in that sense, Yuta's wrong, right? She's not selfish necessarily, but she's actually trying to focus on herself, build an identity that she never had the chance to before. On the other hand, she's not really right either, right? Because again, you're taking people's lives. It's understandable that you'll do this at like any cost, but that doesn't justify any cost, right? Doing something that is understandable and justifiable are two very different things. And it's nice lip service to want to become your own person, which is why it's all the more frustrating, all the more sad when that gets twisted into selfishness, really, right? It gets twisted into, I can do whatever I want to accomplish my goal. I'm the victim here, so there's nothing I can do that makes me a perpetrator. I am the victim. That is my label. But that's just not how it works. I don't know what my ancestors did to you, but you'll eventually reach your limit if you live solely for yourself. And this line gets basically mirrored back at him afterwards. Shut up. Live for the sake of others. There's no need to be your own person. It's always the ones who already became someone who bark orders like that. Oh, hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it because it's so poignant, right? It's so It's so hard to argue against because it's kind of true. The worst kinds of wrong people are those who are wrong but say the right things to justify how they're wrong. Because, yeah, this is something you see time and time again, right? Out in any era, people who have accomplished something turn around and go, you shouldn't have this thing. People who, celebrities who made a name for themselves and became obscenely wealthy through capitalism turn around and disparage capitalism, which got them to where they are. People who started in a farm but got an education through higher education, get their degree, and turn around and go, you shouldn't pursue a degree, you should be happy with what you got. Now that I've achieved it, I can criticize it. I can say, I'm distant from it, right? That is my past. I can say it's bad and it's all these different things when you've already achieved it. And that's not necessarily wrong. One thing I like to say a lot is that you should listen to a hypocrite because they generally know exactly what they're talking about. They're wrong, but they might also be right. And yet, from the perspective of, in this case, someone who never had the chance to become somebody, hearing that you shouldn't live for yourself, as somebody who's living for himself or others, admittedly, somebody who became someone who wasn't under the boot of somebody else, whose lineage wasn't under the boot of somewhere else, whose lineage was the boot, really, his words kind of ring hollow, right? Even if what he's saying is right, good luck reaching her because you effectively are the problem. Hypocrites may know what they're saying, but they're still hypocrites. And at the end, Yuta even acknowledged it, that I was blessed. I never had to worry about the horrible position that you were in. I never had to deal with the impossible dilemma of, do I kill others for the sake of my second life? Because while I admonished her for killing other people to get what she wants, she didn't really have another choice, right? She has to win these games. She has to get stronger. She has to win and appeal to Kenjaku, who gave her the second chance of life, so that she can actually have this chance, right? It's not like she chose the killing game over a game of roulette with Kenjaku. This was her path. So it's hard to argue with this. It's hard to fully shoot her down for making the wrong choice. But that doesn't mean that doesn't make her right? We get this wonderful, wonderful standoff from this guy who really doesn't care about all this emotional baggage and stuff. He just wants to be fulfilled. And then you see it coming from a mile away, but it's still incredible when it happens. All three of them getting their hand motions. It zooms in, the background fades out, and we get 120% part 2 because, of course. Because why not, right? Oh, it's so cool. Their expressions are so different and unique. And, like, also worth breaking down a little bit, right? I mean, you've got this guy, really should have learned their names before going into this, but you got this guy who's just in practically ecstasy, right? He's eating his dessert. He's literally eating. You've got Yuta, who's focused, a little bit sad because he's learning about these people that aren't really monsters and trying to get his points. Despite being a selfless person, he's doing something selfish, right? He's killing people for the sake of his points. And you've got Udo, I think her name is, who's beside herself in anger and righteousness. What great expressions to describe where they stand. And the triple domain expansion as they all try to fight over who's going to come out on top. Until a little cockroach squirms its way in and shatters them. Because of course. And then after this, things absolutely break down. Blast these two and they get their face off. In fact, you have this moment that's just, Yuta is just the kindest man in the world. He's just the gentlest soul, and if anything happens to him, nothing's gonna happen to him. things definitely could happen to him. He stands in contrast to JJK. I'm sure it's doing everything it can to kill him. I mean, just look at this episode. And then the fucking opening starts playing, and I don't know how I'm gonna get copyright around that. Because there's no way I'm gonna mute this. I might mute it and like make the reaction to this one like free or something like that if I have to mute it, because I don't like muting any parts of the episode. We'll see how it happens though. We'll see what YouTube thinks about this. Oh god. It's such a good fight. Such a good fight of both of them getting more and more desperate while still just having the ultimate mano a mano matchup and face off. Of course, Yuta's resourcefulness grants him the victory. Absolutely incredible. And such a great face from Yuta. If that isn't Yuta in a nutshell, I really don't know what is. Just everything about it, right? The gentle expression, the recognizing smile and eyes, you know, looking him in the eyes, saying, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, but I'm glad I gave you what you wanted. And, of course, the absolute battered state of the rest of him. And a little hand wave. There may have been, like, an actual hand motion there, a little sign thing, but it's a wave to me. That's funny. But it's not a farewell, because Yuta is just the kindest soul in the world. Because if he doesn't have to kill, he won't kill. Both innocent people and sorcerers. Nothing I can say will lead to anything but violence, because I'm blessed. I'm the not unjust target of her indignation. And then we return here as he's walking away, and we get a piece of their conversation. Yuta's and Udo's. You're the one who will reach their limit. I've seen it. Be it sorcerer or cursed spirit. Those who present... Why do we get Miwa here all of a sudden? That concern... Wait. Don't tell me it's because of Mekamaru. Please don't tell me Miwa's on like a Mekamaru revenge mission or something. I mean, I guess she's after Geto, right? I need to focus on what's actually being said here. Be it... Oh, hey, Maki, how you doing? Be it sorcerer, sorcerer, cursed spirit, those who surpass the bounds of being strong, all have overwhelming egos. Could be them just having tea. And Geto, there are calamities. And this is finally the part where it's laid bare, right? Where it's said explicitly what I've been saying all this time. It's about ego. That's what it all comes down to. And yet, Yuta doesn't really have that, which is what makes him so interesting. He doesn't have this sense of justice he thinks he should adhere to that the world doesn't. He doesn't really have this strong belief, this thing he wants to impress upon the world, like most people do. He just kind of just wants a kinder world and protect the people he cares about. Everything he does stands in contrast to JJK. Which is probably why Udo said he's the one who's going to break first. Because everything he's fighting against stands in opposition to him. Literally and thematically. And yet he's still determined to come out on top. And I really hope he does. I really do. Because, I mean, not only because I personally stand on the side of Yuta, as opposed to JJK, with this belief in not succumbing to ego and cynicism, but I mean, because who doesn't, right? He's the protagonist. He's the typical shonen hero in a world where that's condemned and mocked and punished. Who wouldn't root for such an underdog? And I think that's where I'm gonna end this video here, and effectively end at least my live analysis series of JJK up through season 3 at least. This is the first show that I've gotten caught up on from like the very start of the show to where it currently is, and it's quite a feeling. I'm not going to give my full analysis here, my full breakdown and opinions of like the series. I'm going to save that for the live stream that is coming up this Sunday. So if you're looking forward to that, if you want to see my full thoughts on JJK, where I stand, who my favorite character is, what my favorite arc is, and maybe even going through the openings, something like that. But there's a lot of different things. I definitely want to reflect on this because, again, it's such an instrumental part in the first big chapter of my channel, right? So if you're interested in that, go ahead and stay tuned, subscribe to get notified when that live stream drops. It'll be, just to tell you ahead of time, it'll be at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Brain blanked out there. 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday. I'll send out notifications past then. And if you want to see a lot more like announcements, you can see I'm losing myself because I'm losing my Ritalin right now. If you want to see like announcements and get up to date about what's going on my channel, then go ahead and check out my Discord. Like I said before the episode, it's free. It's on Patreon. And if you want to support me, go ahead and check it out. Then you'll get the unaltered reaction. So I'm not decided yet if this one will be free or not, depending on how copyright deals with that. Because I don't want to deprive you of this experience, even if it's on a rewatch. So yeah, make sure to check those out if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it, please do like the video. It does help me out so much. It shows the algorithm you guys are engaging with it, and it shows me that you like it, which is really encouraging, makes me want to do more. And same thing with commenting. I read every single one, even if I don't respond to all of them, I react to everyone. And I guess I won't really do, I will do probably one comment of the day for this, or maybe I'll do a comment spotlight of the day, but I'll do it for my stream that's upcoming on Sunday. And you can look forward to that, since obviously there won't be a live analysis to do a prep for. So I hope to see you there on Sunday. But if not, I hope to see you in one of my other shows or something else I'm doing, or maybe even for JJK Season 4. Regardless, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here on my journey. Thank you for experiencing the show with me, with partaking and taking out the value from this. It really has been a transcendent experience in so many ways. So thank you. And until the next one, wherever I see you next, have a lovely rest of your day.